Rome, a name that echoed through centuries as a symbol of power, glory, and collapse. How did a small village by the Tiber River become the greatest empire of the ancient world? And why did it fall after dominating the known world? In this video, discover the complete story of the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. Chapter 1. The founding of Rome. It all begins with a legend. Romulus and Remus, sons of the god Mars, were raised by a she-wolf. After a dispute, Romulus killed Remus and founded Rome in 753 BC. Historians debate the truth of this tale. But in 753 BC, we know that Rome existed as a small village on the Tiber River in central Italy. Legend says that in 509 BC, Rome was a monarchy ruled by kings. The last king was Tarquinius Superbus. He was cruel and oppressive, so the Romans revolted and drove him out. They replaced the monarchy with a republic ruled by elected leaders. The new government was called the Roman Republic. This is when Rome's expansion began. First, the Romans defeated the Etruscans and took control of all central Italy. Then they turned their attention to the Mediterranean. The Romans created a navy and began conquering the islands in the Mediterranean. At the same time, Rome grew in population and wealth. Farmers grew crops and bred livestock. Merchants traded throughout the Mediterranean. Slaves produced luxury goods for the wealthy Romans. Rome was becoming a powerhouse. Chapter 2. The Republic and expansion soon. Rome would face its greatest rival, Carthage. Carthage was a city-state in North Africa. It had a powerful navy and controlled much of the western Mediterranean. As Rome expanded, the two rivals clashed. In 264 BC, the First Punic War broke out. Rome wanted to conquer Sicily. Carthage wanted to keep it. The war lasted 3 years. Neither side could defeat the other. Finally, they divided Sicily between them, but the seeds of conflict were planted. The Second Punic War started when Hannibal Barca led his army across the Alps into Italy. Hannibal was a brilliant general, defeated the Romans again and again. He even managed to capture the Roman city of Saguntum. Rome was desperate, so they sent their best general, Scipio Africanus, to fight Hannibal. Scipio defeated Hannibal at the Battle of Zama. Carthage was crushed. They lost most of their territory. Rome now dominated the western Mediterranean. In the following decades, Rome fought another war against Carthage. It also conquered Greece, Egypt, Hispania, and Gaul. Everywhere it went, Rome built infrastructure. Romans built roads, aqueducts, and bridges. They improved harbors and founded colonies. But as Rome grew, problems arose. The gap between rich and poor grew wider. Farmers were burdened with taxes. Slaves revolted. Civil wars broke out. One group of rebels was led by the Populares, or the People's Man. Marius recruited poor people into his army. Another leader was the aristocrat Sulla. In 88 BC, he marched his army on Rome. He forced the Populares to flee. Marius gathered his supporters. They seized Rome and executed their enemies. Chapter 3. Julius Caesar and the birth of the empire for more than a century. Civil war and instability plagued Rome. Generals and politicians competed to seize power. Then, in the late 1st century BC, a man named Julius Caesar changed everything. Caesar was born into the patrician class. He was ambitious and ruthless, made himself popular with the people of Rome. He enacted land reforms, promoted public works, and distributed free grain. Then he set his sights on the provinces. Caesar was a brilliant general. He conquered Gaul and made himself master of northern Italy. Next, Caesar set his sights on Rome. He crossed the Rubicon River and marched his army on the capital. Rome's defenders fled. Caesar entered Rome as a conqueror. The Senate declared him dictator. Now, Caesar was both dictator and head of the Roman military. He held almost absolute power. Caesar launched more military campaigns. He defeated Pompey the Great, his former ally and rival. He pursued the remnants of Pompey's forces. But in 44 BC, Caesar was assassinated by a group of senators. Senators feared his power. They wanted to restore the Republic, but they failed. Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, avenged his death. He defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt. Both died by their own hands. Octavian returned to Rome as the first Roman emperor. He took the title Augustus. Augustus began the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. It was a time of great prosperity and stability. Augustus kept order throughout the empire. He appointed loyal governors to rule the provinces. He reformed the tax system. He built roads, temples, and public buildings. Under Augustus, Rome entered a golden age. Chapter 4. The empire at its peak over the next 2 centuries. Rome reached its peak under emperors like Trajan, Hadrian, and Marcus Aurelius. Trajan conquered Dacia and Mesopotamia. Hadrian expanded into Arabia. They ruled from the deserts of Africa to the forests of Britannia. Hadrian built roads, temples, and defensive walls. He created a police force to maintain order. The Pax Romana lasted 200 years. Trade flourished throughout the empire. Cities grew and cultural exchange occurred. Greek and Roman art influenced each other. Roman law developed. Philosophy and literature reached new heights. Romans wrote about history, science, and daily life. Virgil's Aeneid told the story of Rome's founding. Ovid wrote about love and marriage. Pliny the Younger recorded his natural history. Romans invented concrete, arches, and domes. They built roads, aqueducts, arenas, and public baths. They constructed huge buildings and monumental structures. But beneath the surface, problems were brewing. The gap between rich and poor grew. The influx of foreign peoples created tension. Rome's military was stretched thin, couldn't defend all of its borders, and in 180 AD, the Pax Romana came to an end. Chapter 5. Crisis and Fall. In the 3rd century, Rome experienced a period of turbulence. The economy was in sharp decline. Corruption and inflation were rampant. Foreign enemies invaded. The empire seemed to be collapsing. In 285 AD, Emperor Diocletian split the empire into 2 halves, west and east. This was meant to make the empire more manageable, but in reality, it created 2 separate centers of power. In the west, the old problems continued. The economy never recovered. Germanic tribes pressured the borders. In 410 AD, they sacked Rome. In 455 AD, the Visigoths attacked again. Vandals invaded from the north. The Roman Empire was crumbling. In 476 AD, the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustus, was deposed by a Germanic general named Odoacer. The Western Roman Empire had fallen. The Eastern Roman Empire, however, survived for another 1,000 years, continued to flourish in the East, preserved Roman culture and traditions. But the Western Roman Empire's influence can still be seen in language, law, architecture, and culture. Rome fell, but its shadow still shapes the world today. Conclusion: the fall of Rome was not a sudden event. It was a slow and painful process, caused by internal weakness and external pressure. The Western Roman Empire was already in decline by the 3rd century AD. The economy was unstable. There was political corruption, and foreign invaders constantly threatened the borders. When Romulus Augustus was deposed in 476 AD, the empire was already on its last legs. Its population had declined, its infrastructure was in disrepair, and its economy was stagnant. While the Eastern Roman Empire endured for another 1,000 years, the Western Roman Empire left behind a legacy that continues to shape our world today. Its contributions to law, language, architecture, and culture are immeasurable. May have fallen, its influence lives on. Today we remember the grandeur of Rome and reflect on the lessons of its rise and fall. Its story reminds us of the challenges of maintaining a large empire and the importance of addressing internal issues before external threats. But perhaps most importantly, it reminds us that even the greatest empires can fall if they fail to adapt and evolve over time. Thank you for watching. Which fact about Rome surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.